an update for my GoFundMe page, and I have some new information thanks to a very good friend of mine from Minnesota who saw my GoFundMe and sent me the name of a professor here in Texas. His name is Professor David Strauss, and he is a professor at Texas Tech University in Austin. He actually did a study to try to find a link between mold toxins and chronic fatigue back in 2013, and he did find a link. And so I actually reached out to this professor who actually lives in Georgetown, and he called me like 4 hours after I emailed him to so that I could ask him some questions and get some feedback on what I'm trying to do. So to make the long story short, he asked if I had ever been tested for mycotoxins. Mycotoxins can be found in the urine, and if I were exposed to a certain kind of mold that he did call stachybotrys, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this word, stachybotrys maybe. So it's a specific kind of mold that does grow in buildings that have water damage. And so it is the kind of mold that will give someone brain fog to the extent of it extremely affects their ability to function and speak. He said when he was talking to me and I told him how long I had been exposed to a classroom with water damage, 4 months, he said that he was very surprised that I was even coherent and making sense, because often people that do call him, just their brain fog and is so extreme that they can't even string words together in a sentence. And to be really honest with you, that's how I felt when I was teaching the months of September, especially September and October. I would completely lose my train of thought and couldn't even try to make, you have to make 1,000 decisions in a minute when you're in a classroom with 24 children. And so I struggled a lot. So I'm very convinced now that I was exposed to this particular mold. The sad news is that I've tried multiple ways to locate someone who can force the school to fix the wall so that there is no longer any more water damage or mold in the classroom, because there are 24 children and at least 2 teachers who are exposed to these mold spores that are in the air every day. And one of the children in the classroom in particular, actually 2 of them, but one more so, had such upper respiratory problems that her cough sounded like it was painful. And I asked her if her coughing was painful, and she told me it was painful. And so it's just very hard right now that I've left that school not to be able to make sure that they have to fix that wall, so that those children and staff are not affected by this. So long story, I know it's a long story. I'm getting to the end here. Basically, he did recommend that he hasn't heard of Wiseman Clinic, but he did recommend that I do see someone in the internal medicine department at Dell Medical School to at least check for mycotoxins in my urine, which I haven't done, and also to leave at all costs the environment where there is water damage, because those particular mold toxins will affect your neurological system and affect the way that you think, the way that you function, whether or not you can function. And in his study from 2013, he did find links to chronic fatigue. And he did affirm to me that his sister had chronic fatigue symptoms living in a mold-infested, water-damaged home. And once she left that environment, she got better. And so this was my new news. It is the good news And I'm going to end on the good news is that I have been in search of finding a doctor or professor or someone who studies the links to confirm to me that once you leave the moldy conditions, you can actually heal. I've been told by multiple doctors that you have to do a very specific detox to get the toxins out of your system, and it doesn't just go away on its own. This particular professor believes, after witnessing his sister recover, that I will get better. However, it is very imperative that I do get tested at least for the mycotoxins to see if there's anything they can do to facilitate my recovery so that I can go back to work. I'm still unable to go back to work, and so because I live in a suburb with very high rent prices, I will have to find something full-time to catch up. So I'm just really honestly looking for ways to pay my medical bills currently so that my debt isn't so huge that I can't fully invest in recovering from this mold issue. I appreciate you listening, and thank you so much for listening to my update. I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving and brilliant upcoming holidays. Thanks.